Dust motes dance in the beams of light filtering through cracks in the crumbling stone ceiling. Ryza, energetic and focused, examines a large ornate lever. Tao, bespectacled and covered in grime, throws his hands up in exasperation, gesturing wildly at the intricate carvings and seemingly random blocks scattered around him. Lent, stoic and muscular, examines a faded mural with a thoughtful frown.
I don't get it, Ryza. This whole puzzle, it feels like some ancient architect's idea of a really elaborate prank. I mean, honestly, it's making me question all my life choices leading up to this moment of staring at a suspiciously placed block for the past hour.
Come on, Tao. Think like an alchemist. Remember what Empel taught us? Every element, no matter how strange, has a potential reaction. Maybe this lever needs a specific catalyst to activate something. Like a rare gem. Or perhaps a precisely measured dose of ancient blue water.
Or maybe it's just stuck. Let me just whack it.
Lance, wait, we haven't tried.
A section of the wall slides open, revealing not a hidden passage with treasure, but a small empty room. Suddenly, a single blue pony falls from above and slowly begins bouncing up and down.
A freaking pony? All this way. For one pony. I spent 3 days working my way here through ever more elaborate mazes for this?
So, the great secret of these ancient ruins was just this glorified pony dispenser? You know, maybe some legends deserve to stay lost.
True. And we didn't even need an alchemist at the end or a secret key here. Come on, man.
Now this is a story all about how Matt's life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just pet your cat. I'll tell you how Matt became the Prince of Backtrack. In western Florida, born and raised, in his bedroom is where Matt spent most of his days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool and all, playing Nintendo outside of the school, when his homeboy called, who had a podcast show, said, join this site, give it a go. Matt wrote a couple reviews, then paused, took a crack and said, you're recording a podcast with Kelly called Backtrack. He called for an Uber, and when it came near, the license plate had cats in it and mice in the mirror. If anything, he could say this car caused a fuss, but he thought, nah, forget it, you're home to Kansas. He got to Kelly's house about 8 or 9, and he yelled to the Uber, "Yo, home's just in time." He looked at Kel's kingdom, and he knew it'd be whack to sit by the throne of the Queen of Backtrack.
Hello and welcome to RPG Backtrack, your regular deep dive into your favorite RPGs. We are a production of RPGamer.com, bringing you such fine podcasts like RPG Cast, your weekly RPG news show, Q&A Quest, your weekly RPG feedback show, and us, your bi-weekly RPG nostalgia show. I am your host, Kelly Ryan, and with me, as always, my podcast partner in crime, the Tao to my lint, Mr. Bat Mason.
You can't hear this, but I'm pushing my glasses up my nose just to make sure I read our intro properly right now.
Yeah, I have to do that every day of my life. Astigmatism, yay!
Yay! I bet there's some alchemy cure for that.
Oh, I wish. And joining us tonight for this alchemist-filled podcast, we've got Ryan McCarthy.
Hi.
And Sam Wachter.
I'm Ryza.
I'll bet her English
all we can imagine.
would be that nasally.
You
I feel
think?
like it would have a lot of pep. She's peppy. We like thunder.
Oh, yeah. Peppy is definitely, that's the word. Eternal optimist.
My original title for this show was going to be Good Thighs of Miss Ryza. But then I liked what you had better. Plus, I think we referenced her thunder thighs in the last show.
I mean, she has beautiful thighs.
That's what you notice about her first. In case you haven't figured it out, we are talking about Atelier Ryza again. not the original game. This is the first time in the series that a protagonist has been the protagonist of the sequels.
Yep, a whole trilogy of Ryza.
Not like the Sophie with her duology.
Yeah. Well, that came later, I believe.
Yeah, they Sophied up after. Sophie 2 came out after Ryza 3, I believe, right? Yeah, because it was just last year.
I just remember reading the news story for the first time and being like, oh, the direct sequel. Huh, well, this is going to be interesting. And then they decided to do a third one. And I was like, okay, they just made this whole thing. They made this whole thing their own trilogy. I wonder if they're going to try to squeeze out a fourth one at some point. Would be kind of interesting. No, I would hope that.
I mean, I guess they could go back. You never know.
Yeah, because we'll get into it more in the main event. But I only played 3. I skipped 2 because I didn't have time to play both of them between the beginning of the year when we scheduled this and now. And I figured I might as well just go for the last one.
And I only played 2. And I only played 2 because I didn't really have the time to play 3.
Oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine. So hey, look at that. And Sam and I played both, so we got 3 of us on each. We're good.
We have
a party of 3 for each one. Just like in the game. That's actually
beautiful.
I've got some stuff to throw too.
Tell you what, why don't we have a brief musical into it, and we'll just come back and dive right in. And welcome back to RPG Backtrack, where we are talking about Atelier Ryza 2 and 3. I'm going to go with 2 first. Released on January 26, 2021 on the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. So all at once.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah. And, well, yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting to have a direct sequel. Although I can't. Had they done the Verona sequel before that, but even then that one was still like just part of the series.
Yeah, because you had Lulua.
Yeah, so
again, yeah, it was just like that was a 4th game in the series, but it wasn't, it was a new protagonist.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, hey, it's Ryza again.
And I was reluctant to play this one because I know Chris was playing it at the time and he loved Ryza 1 and said that this one wasn't as good.
It's not.
It's better.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's. I also think it's kind of better, honestly.
Yeah. Ryan, virtual high five.
So
how do we do that on Zoom?
From what I was reading, it takes place completely in the royal capital, so are there no reused areas?
There are not.
It's all new areas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that will be a talking point for me in part 2 / part 3.
Yes, Ryza 3, that does not work the same way, but no, Ryza 2 was completely new, all new areas. You still got mainly the same cast because it's 2 years later after their summer of adventure.
I think
in the first game, give or take 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, they really the only one you could really tell a huge difference in is Tau. Tau has grown up. Tau in the first game is
he's so bitty.
3 feet. Yeah, he's like 3'5" or something. Like you can tell he's a kid. And in this one, he's at university there, and he's like, he's as tall as the other characters. He's a big boy now. Like freshman or sophomore in college or something.
Truthfully, he gets the best growth in the entirety of this game.
Definitely, yes.
Like, and I will say, for all my beefs with this particular game, because there are things I think it does really well. There are things I think it does really horribly. The development of the main cast is really good here.
Yeah.
Everybody, again, the Ryza series does a great job of everybody gets a little bit more growth each game, and it helps that we are with the same crew for almost the entirety of all 3 games, right? So we're seeing, how Ryza handles her mommy issues. We see how Tao, is becoming a scholar. We see how Lent deals with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
God, yeah.
Like, everybody gets really awesome growth. In this particular story, I mean, this is the one about the egg, right?
Yes.
Where we have
so
Bill.
right away. Yep. Was it Claudia's dad? Pretty early. So Ryza, like we said, it's 2 years later, 2.5, 3, whatever years later. Ryza goes to the capital city because all of her friends are living there now. Claudia's back there, working for her dad. Tao is there going to school. Lent is there. Oh, Boss is there going. Boz. Yep, he's there going to school. You get Empel and Lila, whatever, later too. But and then Lent eventually shows up. So you basically have everybody from the first game back again. But you get a couple new characters.
You mean get, one of the worst, which is the dumb fairy that I really hate?
Oh, Fee.
I hate Fee.
Oh,
He's
man,
cute.
wait till we talk about
He's
my
cute.
treasure.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I did not find
Wow, we're going to be
cute.
fighting this whole time.
Like, I sat there and I was just like, my fucking God, this thing is dumb as a stump. And that was one of my beefs in the story. I was like, why is everyone being so dumb right now? Why is this? I know it's a little animal creature thing. I get it. I get that it's the mascot. I get that it's a MacGuffin.
It's
It
cute.
still annoyed the crap of me.
Oh my God, what did Fee do to you?
Did it have an annoying
Everything.
catchfrix or something? Like Scrappy
No, Fee didn't talk.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It would have been so much worse if it did.
Yeah. I think that was. I think Ryan, you nailed it. Like it was. That was one reason I liked it. Is he just flew around? He fluttered. He looked sad. He emoted quite a bit, but there was no dialogue. It was a pet.
Well, okay. Well, there technically is one line of dialogue, but at the end, technically,
That's all he does.
I saw it in the recap of because they let you recap both games at the beginning of 3, and I went through that one just to see if I would miss anything. And when I saw that the kind of MacGuffin was just this animal, I was like, I feel like I didn't miss anything.
Like, I mean,
oh man,
look, for me
tugging on the
personally,
heartstrings, Fee.
like for me personally, I don't like how hollow Fee felt in this particular game. I think Fee was better in the third game with what bits we had. There's a hollowness, and while I like that Fee helps Ryza become more confident and that she loves the pet, thinks the pet is great, I didn't like when the game forced me to do side stories for Fee because I thought those were just incredibly infuriating. Like, I know it was Japan's attempt at haha, this is funny, and I half the time spent there and go, this is a waste of my time and I'm not enjoying it. So call me cruel, but
well, first let's tell everybody where Fee came from. You
an egg.
Go visit an egg.
Go ahead, Ryan. From some Fee hatches from this egg-like object that the fucking mayor of her town, of the island she's from, gives her.
Oh, was it that, or was it Claudia's dad?
No, it's Mr. Brun.
Oh,
it's Bo's dad. Bo's dad.
Brunin. Yeah. You're right. The mayor. He gave it to her, and she brought it with her to investigate. And it's pretty funny at the end. He's at the beginning because he's like, "Oh, this gem. There must be something about this gem." And I mean, you take one look at it, and it's like, that's a freaking egg, dude. I live in a world where eggs exist. That is an egg.
Yeah, it's an egg. And, it needs darkness to survive, I guess.
So it comes from the underworld, I assume.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. And then, a lot of this game is about, dealing
Powering
with the darkness. Exactly. Making Fee into Megazord.
Yep.
And never quite getting there because Japan.
So, yeah, there's 5 big areas that you need to go in, and at the end, blah blah blah. You do all these things, and we'll get into that. But basically, at the end of each one, you touch something, and fee power flows into fee. And I think by the end of the second or the third, you realize fee's getting even weaker, and you better hurry up. And you really need to get more of this energy. So the first 2 times, it's just like, oh, that was cool. Look at fee. Like, we were here anyway, and fee powered up.
Yeah.
Like, not that fee is playable or does anything, but
I was going to
lots
ask
of lights.
if fee offered any utility in battle.
No, not at all. And that's a missed opportunity, actually.
He was like a cat. What do cats really provide us?
Serotonin.
See, there you go. There you go. See, I'm going to pull it, Kelly. I'm going to get Kelly to our side, Ryan.
No worries. I mean, I am okay with being alone on my side because this game has, to me, too many freaking missed opportunities. And I get so annoyed with it. Like, they gave us a bunch of new characters. Patty was cute. I'm actually very pro Patty.
Patty stayed in my party the entire game.
She did in mine as well.
There's going to be... I was like, I already played as other people, so... And I love the alchemy in here, but it's way too much alchemy to keep, 6 players all with equipment, so... Pretty early on, I was like, I'm going to stick with this person. The battle system's not exactly too hard.
No.
I can power up whoever I want.
No.
And so I stuck with Ryza and Patty. And then our other new one.
Patty gets one of the best storylines because she's a giant crush on Tao. And it's a lot of, dorkiness there. And I lived. That was one of my favorite plots. You get Clifford, who's just a boomerang guy, who actually has no plot. His plot is very minimal. And then you have Sherry, who is interesting because she's from the underworld. But again, she's half-baked. But I used her a lot because she was really freaking powerful. But you know what I don't like about this game? Let me tell you the truth. This is the queer-baity game.
Oh.
This is why I don't like this one.
This is where we go. Go ahead.
Look, Ryza in general has this problem where... Ryza and Claudia need to be together. And once again, the developers are like, we're going to make them look like they're together, but they're kind of not. And then we're going to have this subtext dialogue where they're being really cute and fluffy, but we're not going to let them be a couple. This game was particularly mean about it. Because I'm sorry, there were too many opportunities where it's can Claudia and Ryza just hold hands and smooch already? Come on. Why do you not want me to have lesbians? You're giving me giant tits with Lila. Can I at least have, cute girls being cute? And, falling in
Sari
love?
wasn't any smaller than Lila, by the way.
Fair enough. Everybody in that clan just has crazy
I was going to
doctors.
say, they just, copy and pasted. I mean, there was some obviously different stuff about her, but I'm like, wait a minute. It's everybody in the underworld just, completely stacked? Is that what we're going to...
Yes.
Everybody down there is just paler and stacked.
But yes, let's just go with that because that's absolutely true. It also doesn't help that the localization played a lot into it as well. And that was, for me, a frustration because you could have this really, really cute story with these two characters and allow them to show an actually kind of healthy lesbian relationship in a video game. They don't want to do that.
Sorry, that I'm no mean about it. That's just really weird because I played Knights of Azure, which is a Gust game.
Yes, and that also has a good, healthy relationship.
Yeah, so I don't. It's not like Gust has an aversion to this with their other game.
But there is something weird with this particular one. And it's something that Michael Baker and we talked in depth about because we talked about Knights of Azure and we were like, it doesn't make sense that game is very open with what it is. Same with even Blue Reflection. But there is something about the Atelier games where there is definitely this... It's not like a full aversion, but it's almost like they don't want to commit. Do
you think it's because a lot of men play Atelier games and they feel like they don't want to alienate the men with their waifu?
I would like to assume that.
I'm of two minds with that. Doesn't Yuri? Isn't there a big? Doesn't men make actually? Because I'm pretty sure like I can't tell if it's because they're trying to annihilate guys or is I know there's like a subset of men that think Yuri is like that I don't know yeah, like
All good.
Yeah, thinking of network television, TV shows, and like I'm thinking back to Star Trek. You never wanted Captain Picard to get together with the Doctor because then Captain Picard can't have romantic adventures in other episodes.
Yeah, that's
The possibility always has to be open.
Okay, I think what I'm trying to get around is like I kind of wonder if there's this like attitude of like, oh, we want it to be like be like more of a, we want to cater to the shippers, but we don't want to actually like commit to making it like official. I wonder if that's it.
I
mean, Ryza doesn't.
A fair commitment.
Well, I mean, Ryza doesn't end up with like anybody in any of the games. Like, there's no. And 3 doesn't have like any sort of.
No.
She's not like got a male love interest anyway.
No, and I think some of that also just comes from the fact that, like, again, the games are more about her actual personal growth. I have that mild frustration because of the way they portray Ryza and Claudia's relationship, because it is more than they're letting on, right? And it's very apparent that they want these two characters to be together. It's just, it's kind of sad that they just didn't go for it. And I think that would have been a sweet way to kind of also, you can still have that be part of Ryza's growth, right? I mean, the only Atelier heroine that has ever actually gotten a husband is Verona. Who'd have thunk it? But she's the only one that's actually been in like a successful relationship, at least in the recent games. I can't talk for the stuff that comes before Verona. I have not played a lot of them. So yeah, like, this was an opportunity where they could have really created some mature relationships with these characters. I mean, especially because even Tao and Patty, as cute and adorable as they are, there is obviously a lack of maturity, and that's part of why it works so well, right? Like, neither of them are mature enough to commit, and yet at the same time, they both clearly have feelings for each other.
Yeah.
Whereas here,
so
there actually is maturity.
I mean, Claudia's what is it? Ryza's in her 20s at this point.
Yeah.
And
19.
Claudia's 19 in this game.
Yeah, I think she's 16 the first one and 19 here.
Oh, okay. And Claudia's, I think, like a year older or something like that. And I mean, she's out there like half running her dad's company in this game. And by the third game, she's like pretty much just running it, like flat on. No, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, like Patty in this one is we were talking about character development and the non-development between Ryza and Claudia aside, which valid points, definitely. But like you said, Clifford, he's a treasure hunter dude that just gets introduced in this game, and that's him. He's a treasure hunter. The end. And then he covers his face.
I mean,
why?
Yeah, his character design's interesting. I was trying to think why exactly. He uncovers his face at one point, and you're like, okay. Wait, I don't remember that. When does he do that?
I want to say it may have been in the last dungeon or something. And it's not like he's somebody or anything. It's just like, okay, so, or maybe it falls for a bit or something. Am I completely wrong here, Sam? I swear I saw his
think
mouth.
I'm not mistaken. It's
I did. I do. That's it. I do remember. You can actually clearly see his mouth moving inside the mask.
Well, either way, it's a non-issue, right? I mean, it doesn't matter whether you see him or not. There's no like secret behind him. There's no like big reason why he has the mask. So, like you said, the character design is interesting. Like, why throw a mask on him?
He's a total sexy man. That's why.
I agree.
Adds
with that.
to the mystery.
It just, again, it's one of those. He has such
Indiana
cool
Jones
design.
with tassels.
Well, he does. He's got a cool design, but
and a half shirt.
Yeah. Plus, also, I love how his hat is just positioned so exactly that you can just always see his like left eye poking through the hole in that.
He knows where the camera is. He knows how to hit them with his good eye.
Yeah.
You caught my good eye in the shot. Good.
It turns out the cutscene director is a fucking character in this game.
But that's it. Like that is an actual, again, it's a frustration. You have a character with a really cool design that they do literally nothing with.
Yeah, he's a treasure hunter, and they talk about at one point like money, and he's like, "Oh, well, I don't really care about money. Like, I'm not rich or anything, and I'm not trying to get rich."
Then why are you
treasure hunting? He's just he loves treasure hunting.
No, and that's it. Like, there's
that's it. Like, it's
so
really
little
nothing
to him. I find that frustrating because at that point, there's no good reason for his character to exist. So why wouldn't you just bring back Empel and Lila earlier?
Yeah. Okay. God. Yeah.
That's so earlier.
Weird. It's so weird because Empel and Lila are in this, but then I feel like they just disappear for such a huge chunk.
Yeah, they're just in the city, like running a shop or whatever, sell you some stuff, or they're just they're in the merchant area. Yeah, they're not a big part of this one.
Like, at least Indiana Jones's point is that things belong in a museum. Seems like such a missed opportunity.
I mean, you know what? Like, again, for me, there are just certain things with the story. Like, I remember the pacing being really frustrating in this one as well, just because there's quite a bit of back and forth with having to go through the areas, how to unlock certain things.
Let's talk about that. So, when you go to an area, there's 5 main areas, I believe, if I'm thinking about it right.
Yeah, 5 rooms.
Each one you go into, you have to go through a good part of it to then unlock. It's almost like a diary or you're trying to fill in pages of some narrative about what was going on here. And after a while, it unlocks like where all the clues are on the map. And then you got to go back through the map to get all the clues. When you get all the clues, you have to, it's almost like Mad Libs. You got to kind of fit them in where they work. Like you're reading a paragraph and the paragraph will be like, da, 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 and the aliens came down and then it puts like in parentheses, it's like a colored ship or something like that. And blah, 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 blah. And you have to find the scrap of paper that's like a red vessel and match up a red vessel with the blank that's supposed to be some sort of colored ship. And then it like fills that in. So it's almost like filling in the blanks along the way. I really liked this. It was fun to do that for me and to see that completion percent go up because there was definitely a completion percent per major ruins. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 62% of the way through this. Oh my gosh, I'm 97%. I got like one more clue to find. And if I match that clue with the last place, boom, I can get it. And along the way, as you fill out certain scraps or certain paragraphs, you got like adventuring points or whatever that helped. Was it skill points maybe that you unlocked through that? Yeah. So it helped. It helped go through your skill tree. Yeah. Because, you needed, I was like, oh, after a while, you're like, I got to get 5,000 skill points. Holy crap. How am I going to do that? Well, you complete this paragraph, you get 1,000. You complete that paragraph, you get 1,000. And those were only maybe 8% of your total for that area. So you were getting thousands and you were getting a lot for completing those. And I guess technically you could beat certain dungeons without 100%ing them.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, you can.
But I never did. I 100% it all.
Yeah, I did too.
I did not because I really didn't like the way it was set up.
Mm-hmm. See, it was clearly on the map. So I knew where to go. I didn't get super frustrated. And I will say, it gave me a reason to more deeply explore or go through again and hit the corners of those places. And a lot of times, you got to do that just to keep getting more items or the right items. And I felt like that gave me a reason to go through again. I didn't feel like I just had to go get alchemy items. Yeah. I was getting a percentage up at the same time.
Yeah. I actually really like how it's like. I kind of like how. I like how even though you're basically just like you're essentially just like following a compass and just collecting like random light things or whatever.
Yeah, they were just little glowing spots. You're right.
Yeah, I still really liked it. I still liked a lot about it conceptually. Like you're basically doing archaeology and finding out the history of these areas, basically.
Yeah, I'll say it. Some of them were more interesting than others. Some of them were like, "What the f are you talking about?" Like, there's some parts where like aliens came down and did this and da 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 da. Wasn't that the one in the water? That got very spacey. I was like, what the hell is going on with we took a hard left turn. I thought this was all supposed to be about like the other world again, which at the end it came down to. But yeah, it was a hard left turn on that one. That's like, oh, suddenly you're in space and there's like an AI or I don't know, there's a machine. You had to turn somebody on at some point.
Yeah, the Star Child.
The Star Child. Yeah, there we go. I was like, okay, so this is a little bizarre.
Hard pass.
I mean, okay, to be fair, Sam's not wrong about some of the pacing, though.
I'm going to be honest.
I will concede that.
I hated the Star Child stuff. I hated it so much. It's like,
now,
this is cute. Go ahead.
I will say that area that you could dive underwater and explore underwater, that was what I thought was one of my favorite parts of the whole game.
Oh, no. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was neat.
I remember, and Kelly and I were not that big on the music and the audio all the time. What was awesome about diving underwater is the sound. It still played the same music, but it was muted, you were underwater.
Wow. I like that effect.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
yep, it was just
that's cool.
I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, no,
and
honestly, that area is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I like the crystal caves that were then the fourth one, I think, too. Those were really cool. Lots of glowing crystals around.
The areas were really pretty for the most part, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I actually had no issue with the designs themselves. I think just the way the pacing was from story to dungeon. Again, it felt like a slog at times. And I kind of hate saying that because when we talk about Ryza 3, we don't have any of that. But it's for a different reason. But yeah, can I also say I also didn't really like the changes to the combat in this one.
Oh, I loved it.
I actually like some of the improvements.
I thought it was an improvement.
I'm not going to say they weren't, but there was a few that I don't know, I did not love.
In the first game, I didn't find the items. I couldn't get to the items enough to use them. Like, you had to build up the meter to get to the items. Mm-hmm. This game, I felt like I could. And it was, I feel like 3 did it almost identically. I didn't feel 2 and 3 were that
Yeah. In 1, I felt like I was constantly having anxiety because I was running out of item uses and the game didn't really do a good job of explaining how to get that back. Versus, I guess they didn't change it much from 2 to 3. No. And yeah, it was a lot easier to use your items, which also kind of broke the game.
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%. And I think, I love breaking games. So in 2, I could alchemize myself awesome stuff. And I think 3 did get even a little easier, but it was 2 that I was like, okay, these powerful weapons, I can actually use them and I can actually build up to like my big attack. And I remember Michael Baker saying in the first game, and that was one of, I think, his criticism in the first was there were all these awesome items and big attacks that you could use, but you almost never fought anybody outside of a boss that had enough hit points for you to just wail at them long enough to make it worth it. Exactly.
Whereas here, absolutely, that's the case.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, you are... again, it is a better battle system. I think my struggle with it comes with just how it's balanced with the skill tree. Because I didn't really love a lot of the options in the skill tree. I like the flashiness of everything, and I like that there was definitely some speed to it. I think it's just they did too much with the skill tree to make me kind of go, okay, but I'm not finding a lot of this useful. I'm not finding it's making the game any harder. Because Ryza 2 and Ryza 3, they're very easy. Mm-hmm. Like, in a way that some of the other ones are not. I mean, I don't want anyone to go back all the way to, like, Rorona levels of difficulty. Like, nobody misses that. But it's not fun when the final boss can be beaten on the first try.
Yeah.
It took me a couple tries to finish the final boss, but
Yeah, I definitely took 2 on this one.
yeah, I think it took me a few at least.
But I mean,
I will say, though,
the fun is breaking the items.
Yes, I will say I didn't feel like the game was super easy as much as I invested the time into my item synthesis and making all the minor items better that led up to the item that I wanted. And because I did that, I earned the easier battles.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there were times in both this and 3 that I would sit down literally 8 o'clock at night, and I might go for 2 hours of just alchemy because I'm like, you know what? It's been 6 hours. I've just opened up another ruins. I've been in that ruins. I went through it once. I know I got to go back in and unlock all the percentage points now, but I have found new metals. I have found a new thing to make a new cloth. That means I can probably make everybody new armor, probably make everybody their next level weapon. Yep. And I'd saved up enough skill points to open that then. And Sam, I'll be 100%. You're right about the skill tree. There is so much bullshit on that skill tree that I never once touched and never once. I was like, why? I don't care if I ever do this. I unlocked it and then unlocked the next one because it was like, hey, this item. I never use those items. I was like, why do I need to spend 5,000 skill points on this one healing item when all my healing items are fine? And I can make armor that, boom, I would go from my defense was 150. I could make a new armor that would get me up to 250.
Exactly.
It would take me an hour. It would take me an hour, but I could, and it would probably be 6 things I would make because I stuck with Ryza, Patricia, Patty, and Clifford. Although at the end, I was like, oh, let me give Sari a try and switch Clifford out for that and went with the all girls team. But I would just make 3 armors and 3 weapons for my 3 main people that were doing it. But even then, I could take 10, 15 minutes for each one of those by making a couple little better good stuff. And I did feel like I earned that. And when I made those huge items that just did redonkulous amount of effects, I was like, cool, I did it. I unlocked all the special pathways and whatever of that. And then I remake it because, I had to, you remake it to be able to put in even more stuff.
Yep. And that's it. That's why it's one of those. I got to the point where I saw what they were doing with the skill tree. I also looked at it and went, I don't see a point to this if I can just make better than what it's offering. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was just, again, it was another just weird addition. And again, my kind of saying with Ryza 2 was just, they were trying to improve a bunch of things. And in exchange, they made certain elements easier or worse for me. I'm going to speak just for myself. I think I literally titled the section of that review, Don't Fix What Isn't Broken. Because, again, you don't need that skill tree. The refinements they made to the battle system on its own was enough for the game. Truly, right? Mm-hmm. So you're adding this additional crap that you're trying to tell me is important. But this is also an Atelier game where part of the fun is experimenting with your items, experimenting with the characteristics, experimenting with so many things. And I think that skill tree does a dubious job of trying to tell you that the things you're making are better.
Yeah, I think Ryza 2's biggest flaw is that I feel like it just adds maybe a few too many systems that didn't need to be there.
Yep.
I'm 100%. There are a lot of systems, and there are some that I chose not really to engage with. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. But I mean, again, I want to preface in this conversation, I do not think Ryza 2 is a bad game at all. I just think that a lot of the changes it made just felt so unnecessary. And it felt like it couldn't quite get its pacing right. It couldn't quite get the characters where they needed to be. And it just felt like that sad middle book in a story where it's here's our exposition because we've got to get it to the next point. And I find that disappointing because it's one of those games where, again, all the potential is there. And then to see how some of it was squandered, I think was just so frustrating for me when I was playing it. So it's you want me to do all these things, but you need to get me to the part where I care. And sometimes I think the game got me there. Again, anytime we got Tau, I was like, I care. I care about my sweet boy, right? Oh, we're talking about like the darkness and the underworld. Cool. I care about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it was not enough for me personally. Again, it's like it almost hit the marks, but just didn't quite like clear the bar. And again, I mean, I had similar problems with the first Ryza, but what I will say for the original Ryza was it's the first, it's allowed to make the kinds of mistakes it does. This is the sequel. You should be more refined than what your first offering is. And again, they did some experimentation here. I don't think it paid off. I think we get the better balance once we get to 3. We start talking about 3. I wish I liked this one more. Because again, there are things about it I do love. Like, I love the designs of the areas. I love the growth of the characters. The ones that I care about, not Clifford.
Yeah, whatever. Well, Clifford didn't grow, so there was nothing to care about.
I mean,
he was just daddy. That was it.
Yep.
I mean, there was one. Well, there was one like slight running gag I kind of liked with Clifford, but he's whatever.
What running gag?
The one where he's like, where you're constantly like where he's like asking Fee if he wants to be his like partner, and then Fee just like he just rejects them.
Hard pass on Fee's part.
Yep.
Yeah.
One gameplay thing that I really liked. I don't know how you guys liked it, but improving the town, improving the you had a town relationship with the people, the merchants, the children. There was like 6 different things that you could do requests for on the request board that would build your town reputation among 6 different groups in the town.
No, that was actually
yeah, that was fun. That that got you more items, cheaper prices.
Yeah.
What did the kids one do? Something with it. I can't remember what that one did, but yeah, they were fun little things to unlock. And I feel like this game, more than the other 2, I really relied on the merchants for a lot of items and for improved items and higher levels.
That helped me. Yeah, that actually helped me a few times because I would need an item to make something, and hey, turns out one of the merchants has it. So
yep, and you could. It was, I guess, I feel you could do it in 3, but I felt like it was just that one girl that kind of randomly popped up, or not randomly, but she was in all the areas, kind of like following you around, opening places. In this one, there were specific merchants, and if you sold them certain items, it would unlock other stuff too. And I loved going to that one girl and selling her certain stuff, which got you like no money. Like selling crap in Atelier games never really makes you rich, but it kept unlocking like, okay, if I got one of these items, if I sell her that, like she will start selling that to me. And every day I could buy 2 more or something like that. And if I did enough of the requests, then those merchants would have higher quality ones. So like, hey, I found this kind of one rare item and it was like level 49, but if I sold it to her and my reputation was high enough, I could go buy level 70 ones at her every day. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like, I felt like in this game more than the other 2, it was very, if I do X, then Y and Z will open up and be this way. 3 might have had that. I know 3 kind of had that. I just never, I don't think I needed it as much, or maybe because it was so big, and we'll talk about that soon, where this game it's one city. You kept coming back to this hub. There was a hub city that you spent your time at quite a bit.
Yeah.
Did this one introduce the random quests, or is that 3?
Yeah, this one has the billboard. There's a billboard in the cafe that has like procedurally generated quests.
Yeah, no, they're random. You're right, Ryan. It's and that's the ones that would increase your relationship with the stone merchants or the children or the NPCs or the people in the back alleys, the artisans or whatever. And they were just like, hey, go kill 8 of these or go fetch 3 of these items. So they were what in the 3rd game would just be the random quests all over the place.
Okay.
They were centralized here, which I actually like that better.
Yeah.
I'll talk about 3 and 3.
I mean, I haven't played 3, but I just have to take your word for it.
Because I remember, sorry, I remember
Go ahead.
being very frustrated in one where I felt compelled to do like all the side quests as they popped up, but a bunch of them you couldn't accept until you hit like certain story milestones, even though the marker was still on the map.
Mhm.
And it's like I get that you can mark those for later, but it's like don't tell me I can do something until I can actually do it, because otherwise
Yeah.
it's just gonna stick in my craw the whole time.
Yeah, I think that is something Ryza 2 does better. I think it. Yeah, I feel like it only makes stuff available that you can actually do.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and I mean, and you know what? After a while, I stopped doing stuff on the request board because I maxed out my reputation with like all 6 people,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, I don't need to do the fetch quests anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm not running out of money, and that's not going to make me a ton of money anyway. You're mainly getting paid in, I don't know if it's skill points. You got some money, but it whatever the currency and whatever it kept doing, that wasn't important. By the time I maxed out my reputation with all 6 of the populations or whatever. So it was fine. Like the last third of the game, I just didn't need to do that. It was all right.
Yeah, I felt like by the end, like you're basically more or less maxed out on the reputation stuff, and you're not really worried about money by the end.
Then again, I'd alchemized myself such good stuff that I was like, I didn't need money. What did I need money for? I mean, buy a few elements.
Yeah.
I liked going to the, what was it? The blacksmith. Because then you could add extra slots, or what was it you could do to the weapons and everything that would really power the hell out of them up.
Oh, you mean Dennis, right?
Yeah, Dennis. Yep. I can't remember it. I mean, it was.
I should have engaged with that. I wish I engaged with that more because.
Oh man, I was at him all the time. Like, okay, can I do this? Can I do this yet? Can I do this yet? And I think you could only do it once or twice per weapon or armor, and it costs a lot of stuff. I don't know what it cost. Was it money or items to whatever to power it up? But yeah, that was the first thing I would do. I'd make myself a new sword, or whoever I was using, and make them a new weapon. Then I'd go run to him and power it up once, and then try to equip it and be like, yeah, look at that attack skill. I'm going from 180 to 300. That was worth my last 2 hours.
Oh my god.
That's hard.
But yeah. And you know what? We haven't really talked about the overarching story in this one. I don't know. Things coming from the other world again. Beat them, close it.
It's
another rift.
It's very simple.
And then at the end you find out that these rifts, you can't. What is it? I think they were opening because you kept using the power to charge up fee.
Yeah, the crystal things that were that was like that Fee was absorbing the power from the mana from. It turns out they were like keeping like some rift closed,
or it was keeping it open.
Yeah.
So if you close them, then Fee would actually eventually die in your world. So at the end, you send Fee back to Fee's world so that Fee can be alive, and then all the rifts will close. Like you can close the rifts, but if Fee stays there, Fee's a goner. Or you can keep powering Fee up, but that's going to keep the rifts open and be pretty shitty for the entire world. So the needs of the one did not outweigh the needs of the many, and you let little Fee fly back in at the end, and it was an emotional moment.
Yeah, it's
liked
nice.
it.
The sad children's movie Have to Let the Pet Go.
Yep.
But he's free.
It's really nice.
Correct. You're letting them go because otherwise you're dead. Be free. Be free, Fee. Whatever. I said that wrong the first time.
Good job, Fee. You did a useful thing.
You were the MacGuffin that ended the game.
Like, yeah, screw the world. I'm not letting my cat go.
See, Kelly, you're starting to understand the pull of Atelier Ryza 2 now.
But at the same time, my cat isn't a sentient magical being that could end the world with its rifting, but I digress.
So, looking at review sites, other than present company excluded, this one did get a higher score than the original.
Yep.
But
I know
we've
I'm
heard very. Well, you and Michael, listen, you two agreed on that, so I have nothing to say that. We've got 2 people on staff that were like, okay,
and Chris
it could
agreed
have been
with me
better
too.
Chris dumped out, right? He did not finish it.
He never finished it. He said that he just couldn't get into it. And I mean, sometimes that happens with a sequel, that it's just not clicking for you.
Yeah.
But then we do have to like say, hey, this is Chris, and it wasn't Path of Exile, so
True.
Also true.
This is true. You can't keep him away from Path of Exile.
He's not here, so he can't defend himself. So we can
Also true.
we can give him all the crap we want. Because I tried to invite him. He's like, no, I bailed on that game. Like, well, then you can complain about it. And it's like, no. I'm like, okay, fine. So we'll give him crap.
I'm not even sure. He wouldn't have much to complain about. He'd just be like, I just couldn't get into it. That's all he'd be saying.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember listening to RPG Cast at the time because I think that was the longest. I mean, I'd read the reviews, Sam and Michael's, and Sam's the first time around. But I think it was hearing about it week after week, and he was really invested in that first one. Mm-hmm. That I was, hearing about that on 10 podcasts over a couple years. I was like, oh, Ryza. I played Lulua. I played the one that came out right before it. And that kind of kept it in my mind. Not that I played these until last year, but it just hearing about it so much. That was the discourse on it, that he liked the first. He was really invested in it. And then, the second one just, I don't know if he burnt out or just that, he couldn't keep going with it. And that's all right.
Which is also
Sometimes
a possibility with these games.
Yes.
Atelier burnout is a real thing.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I love my Kiseki games, but like 1.5 a year, if that. Like, there's a timer that goes off in my head. Like, I have hit Kiseki level 1 or hour 100. I don't care if I'm in the middle of a game. Hey, I just ended a chapter, save it. All right, I won't get back to this for a year.
I mean, there is a such thing as too much of a good thing. If you ate ice cream every day, the same flavor of ice cream every day for a month, you'd end up hating that too.
Yeah,
correct.
I don't really binge multiple. I really don't binge multiple games in this series generally for that reason.
And yet, we might be ready to talk about the next game, and I will tell you how fast I jumped into that right after 2.
Well, let's take a brief musical interlude, and then we'll come back with Ryza 3. Oh, by the way, I believe this is $60. Still $60 everywhere. But it also goes on sale all the time, too.
Oh, yeah. I believe I got one of the digital deluxe versions on the Switch for $25 or something. So,
nice.
And that was a year ago. So
that is the first game. Where's the second game? Yeah, it's 60 on Steam right now, but I've seen it as low as 30. Physical copies have kind of shot up a little bit. I paid full price for these, but I wanted them physically, so that was my deal. But it seems like who publishes these? Tecmo Koei now?
Koei.
No, it's NIS.
No, it's Koei.
Koei Tecmo.
Right. NIS used to publish them. It seems like they don't really have huge print runs of these very often.
They know how many they're going to sell, and that's how many they make.
Yeah.
Or a little under.
But both Switch and PS4 versions are 70 on eBay at the moment.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
So, just wait for a sale. They do go on sale quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we'll come right back with Atelier Ryza 3 after a brief break. And welcome back to RPG Backtrack, where we are now talking about Atelier Ryza 3, The Alchemist of the End, and The Secret Key, released on March 24th, 2023. Worldwide release this time around, on PS4, PS5, Switch, and Steam. And yeah, the third game's a charm, am I right?
I loved it. I will say my personal ratings right here. I thought Ryza 1, to me, it was like an 8 out of 10. Oh, wait, maybe I should give RPGamer scores. I would call that a 4 out of 5. Ryza 2 for me was a 5 out of 5. As you heard me, debating with Sam a lot, and she had very good opinions. But for me, I thought that 2 was just perfection. This one, maybe like a 4.5 out of 5. Like it's right in the middle. Still excellent game though. And interestingly enough, like review scores online, they get incrementally better every time. There was a little jump between Ryza 1 and 2, and then just a little tinier jump between 2 and 3. So I think people enjoyed this series, and they enjoyed it more as they went on in general.
Yeah, I heard mixed things about this one versus 2. Like some of them like this one better, and some of them liked 2 better. And then you have Chris who only liked the first one because he couldn't stand 2 and thought 3 was going to be more of the same. I skipped 2, and the reason why was because I didn't have time to play both of them before this show, because I had other stuff I wanted to play, and that I misunderstood something you said, which is why I skipped 2. Because you
story-wise, there was no need to play 2, really.
Yeah, but you also said that 2 and 3 were more or less the same as far as gameplay.
You know what? Gameplay, alchemy. Like, honestly, the only difference in the alchemy between 2 and 3, I liked the alchemy in 2 better just because of the way it looked. 3 went for like this angled isometric thing, and I had a hard time just seeing the pathways when you're putting items on. Honestly, it was the same damn thing, though. It was the same. It was just like, hey, we're going to keep it the same, but make it look a tiny bit different. So, I mean, yeah, I would say the alchemy is a 10 out of 10 for me in Ryza 2, and like a 9.5 out of 10 of me in Ryza 3, just because visually I had a hard time. But was it the same thing? Yes.
I mean, I literally
battle system, same kind of stuff.
And I literally had a year gap between the first game and this game. So in my brain, the alchemy system was more or less the same. The battle system felt like a marked improvement.
It was
because of how they changed how you did the items, and it was so much easier to get the meter up to do the ultimates this time around. But also, enemies weren't so squishy that you could still kind of do your in battle tasks, and which ones I'm talking about, where you have to use a certain move a certain number of times in battle. I got so frustrated at that first game where it's like get somebody to level 5, and it's like I literally cannot keep this thing alive enough to get to level 5. I'm gonna have to go take on a boss to finish this. And some of that stuff was frustrating, but at the same time, going from 1 to 3 was a little bit repetitive, because the first part of the game uses the exact same map and everything, and at least this time around the map is completely open to you, so you can go all the way to the one castle at the far end at the beginning of the game.
Yes, you can.
They rearranged which items you find, so you can't quite do a in-game run. But at the same time, because I was exploring so much, and because I got so sucked into the alchemy, that I think I maxed out the talent tree like before you got to the last area. And
if I didn't do that, it was not far into the last area that I did. Because I remember in this game, like, I have nothing else to spend my skill points on.
Yep. So they're useless. Right. And because I did so much exploring, and I pumped so much stuff into just my beginning game items, that by the time I did get to the higher areas to make newer items, it was like there kind of wasn't a point. Yeah, no, I mean, there were items I would ride for 10 hours. Like, I would make a bomb, or, whatever, elemental bomb or whatever. I kept making the luffs. What is it? The LUFT, and they do the wind damage, right? Yeah, they're green, do the wind damage. Like, I'd have one of those and an ice bomb and whatever, and I would just have them powered up enough that it was fine. And because it seemed like your items were nigh infinite, you could just spam the hell out of them and be perfectly fine.
Yes, you could. Yeah, that was golly. You do it every battle. Like I just boom, 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 did a couple attacks, boom, 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 did use a couple skills, and then boom, hit him with the strongest item right away.
Yep. It's like I love how broken that was, and at the same time, it was beautiful.
Yeah. Again, I felt like I got out of this one what I put in. If I spent the hour and a half crafting myself a lovely ice bomb, let me tell you, the next 10 hours of gameplay, I could just not worry about it. Ice bomb was still going to be effective.
Mm-hmm. No, because like at least the first area of the game was kind of the same. Trying to look up advanced items for me was a little bit frustrating because, a lot of those items you couldn't get to until you had like a maxed out scythe or what have you. And
Correct.
some of that stuff I wasn't able to upgrade until halfway through the game. So it's like I'm looking for certain ores, and it's like it says that it drops from rocks in this early game region, and I've looked everywhere, and I don't see them.
Because your hammer isn't good enough yet.
Mm-hmm.
And your hammer won't be good enough until you can upgrade it with the ore that you find in the second large zone.
Yeah. I think the one that was frustrating me the most was trying to find palma fruit, which is like, okay, that's clearly from the palm trees, and they're not dropping them. And the only place you can find these palma fruits are like right outside your atelier in the kind of lakey area where you could build your base. And that brings me to
which base? Because
yeah, so that and the bit where it's connected to the first game, but it's like a big old lake and a whole series of different islands and stuff.
So the opening is you're back at home. You're back on your home island again. It's like a year later after you've been in the capital after the second game, and suddenly trade gets disrupted because all these mysterious islands have popped up in the gigantic lake that your island's on. All these other islands have popped up, and now ships can't get to your hometown too well.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to go into the mysterious islands and figure out what's this all about. And the entirety of before you even needed to go into the mysterious islands, almost the entirety of the first game's map was open to you.
Yep.
You could say, hey, you know what? These islands over there, something's wrong with it. Screw it. I'm going to go walk around for 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's what I did.
The fog of war just covered the whole area, and you could just keep unlocking more and more and more areas. And if you talked to people in town, you would get quests that led you farther into those areas. There were sometimes I would talk to somebody and they're like, oh, I hear about a mysterious bird over there. Maybe it's disrupting trade. And it would put a quest marker, and I'm like, holy crap, I had to scroll on the world map to see where that quest marker was because it was so far away. And I literally could spend 2 hours weaving my way there through 8 different areas I had to unlock. Now, it was all open at this point. This game was pretty much, it wasn't open world, but it was open 3 worlds, pretty much. There were no loading screens or anything, except for when you zoom between the 3 areas. And then, so you could go play over there, or you could just ignore it, go straight into the mysterious islands. The mysterious islands were a hell of a lot to get through. You were swimming. There were dolphins that you could hop on that would carry you around. You could dive underwater again, just like my favorite part of Ryza 2. And eventually you get to an island that has some ruins on it, and you think there's a portal there that's going to do something, but it just leads to an empty room, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like a scrap of paper, and eventually you're kind of stuck for a bit. Now, you get to build an atelier of yourself in the islands. This is where it opens this option. You get to build an atelier, and I think there's 3 different types of ateliers you can build.
Mm-hmm.
One will help you get, is it more experience?
Yeah, but one will do more experience. One will do more SP, which I always picked because I was addicted to unlocking more of that the SP or the skill tree.
Yep. And the third one, it showed the locations of treasure chests.
Yeah,
And my God, I never realized how many treasure chests there were around. Because the world was so big, I didn't explore every corner. Like, it was just way too much. Like, oh my God, like, hey, there's 30 islands. And granted, most of them are, you walk around it for 30 seconds and you've done it. But some of them were quite large. And, halfway up the path, there was a little corner here. And like, there were so many treasure chests everywhere.
That second area that has the big town with the two competing guilds, I swear to God, I think I spent a whole day in that town trying to track down all the treasure chests.
Oh, and you could. So, yeah, speaking of that town, so eventually you get, it's got a lot of the same characters. You got Ryza and Claudia's back because obviously this is affecting her. I think it's because it's affecting her company. She's come to visit or whatever. Lent's there. Tao is there again. Eventually, Boss becomes a playable character in this one. He wasn't a playable character in the other ones. But you meet a girl, Frederica, pretty early on. She is from a very big trading capital that they're unable to trade because of these mysterious islands. So, like, I don't know, 10 hours into the game, you've been playing around with mysterious islands, you don't know what's going on, whatever. Frederica sails up and she's like, why don't you come join me back at my city? So you go there and holy crap, that area is as big, if not bigger, than the entire first zone that you've been in.
Mm-hmm. Including a town that is...
Oh my God, that city is... Yeah, and it's a battle between, let's see, what is it, the glass makers there?
And the fairy
crystal,
stone.
The fairy stone, which fairy stone just to me looked like glass.
It's crystals,
so
you're right. No, you're
It's crystals, yeah. So it's like, okay, so it's glass versus crystal. Can't you make you thin slice crystal? It looks like glass. Whoop-de-doo. And they're getting ready to celebrate like a centennial in the city, and they can't decide what to build to celebrate this because the glass people want to make a big glass sculpture and the crystal people want to do a big crystal sculpture.
It's very much the chocolate people are having a fight with the peanut butter people, and oh my God, how is this going to resolve?
We just need some Reese's.
But like that's what conflicts like that always remind me of. Like, gee, are they going to resolve this by figuring out that they're much better together?
Yep.
Oh,
so eventually,
what a surprise.
And I mean, but my God, this whole area, this is another like 15 hours, and there are other towns to go to, and just so much to unlock. You could, I think, if you start walking, you could probably walk for 30 minutes to get from one end of the map to the other.
And
even if you weren't fighting or something.
The outdoor areas of that second area have like verticality to them as well, which just makes them kind of fun, but also very confusing, especially when, you see a treasure chest on the map and you can't quite figure out how you're supposed to get there.
Mm-hmm. I remember there was at one point where you went over a bridge and there was a lot of stuff down by the river below. And I know there was a series that bridge then became super important. I remember doing so many quests around there because the bridge became like a trading area. And it was like, hey, if you get us like 50 fruits, we can start selling fruit on the bridge. Hey, if you get us like 100 ore. And I was like, oh my God, it was some really big stuff. But like the bridge actually changed and you saw the new things popping up. That was pretty cool. But yeah, that was just one tiny little part that I probably spent an hour doing side quests just to get that bridge up and running as a trade center pretty well. But yeah, these areas are massive, massive, massive. They're all bigger than the first game. And this was just there was 4 because this was the second of 4 areas. You're in this one.
Because the third one was kind of a more mountainy area. And
correct. And this is where you met, what is it?
Dan. Yeah.
Or Dan? Who knows?
The wild kid. I what's his name? Yeah, Dan Farrell, the wild kid. He accuses... Yep. He thinks that you're there to cause trouble, and you have to prove to him that you're not going to cause trouble.
And you're in that area for a while. I don't think that was as big. It was definitely not as big as the first 2. You're in this third area, and there's a lot of things going on. But what were they? They were something with dragons, right? The dragon spirit veins, or there was something like their town stayed there between, and what is it? Every 100 years, something like wiped them away. There was some whole thing about the flow of energy through their town was important, and it was important their town was where it was. It was important there. But as you walk around this area and you're doing little quests and you're trying to get him, he joins your party, but you're, doing quests for his dad, or at least the village elder, and he's got some like half sister or whatever, or is it adopted sister? There was some like dialogue there that he was like complaining that she walked around naked all the time. I was like, okay, like if they're related, like maybe we don't need to be focusing on this so much, game. But
yeah,
right. Ryza usually doesn't have the fan service. The fan service is all in the fans themselves that make the artwork for Ryza and everybody else. But yeah, so this relates to there's like a destroyed city nearby that was like a fortress that was holding off stuff, and they're talking about pathways to other places and whatever, which of course, hey, it's a Ryza game, we have to go to the underworld / other zone.
The first time that you're able to, well, you were able to explore it a little bit in one, but this time around it's like completely open.
Oh yeah.
And has more verticality with it, because the village that's there has all their settlements,
the trees,
which I thought was kind of cool. That's so much when I was
it's an Ewok village.
Chests. Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty neat. My only complaint is that I felt like these areas really didn't have a lot as far as like new materials.
I think they were just so big that, they were so, I always find the weapons I feel like a lot of Atelier games start off like, why can't I make a new weapon? Why can't I make a new weapon? Why can't I make a new weapon? By the end of the game, you're really only making 4 or 5 upgraded weapons throughout it.
Yeah.
And these games, for me, I did enough side quests and everything. Both these games were like 50, 60-hour adventures. So I couldn't make new weapons but 4 or 5 times in the game. And that came about because there were only like 4 or 5 levels of ore. And like you said, that's it. So you're only really hitting, you might be getting some other new items scattered throughout, but like categorically, like there's maybe like 5 major upgrades. And if you're playing for 50 hours, you're kind of stuck every 10 hours without doing that.
Yeah, the game didn't do a very good job of pacing out new items versus how soon you could unlock stuff in the alchemy list, because by the end of the game, there were still some recipes that I couldn't unlock. I
thought I had the ability to do everything, but I didn't. I tried to, when they came available, I tried to make everything, but just in terms of raw materials, I was like, oh, this game was harder than 2 to get the raw materials. As I talked about earlier, I love 2, like making friends with the children and then these merchants and then these merchants and trading in this to get that. There wasn't so much those areas here. There was the same friend that was in the second game. The girl was setting up stands in all the new cities that you were unlocking and trying to sell some stuff there. But I never really interacted much with her or opened up a lot of her stuff. Something was different about it that just made it harder. And I think we talked about this one, you were using items and the battle system was so you're blowing things away pretty easily. Even though it kind of feels a little bit like they got more HP, they had enough HP to let you get to your item usage, and your item usage happened faster. So made big items and blew stuff up. And I didn't need to, if I got one ice bomb and one of my Luft things and I had a regular bomb or meteorite thing, cool, I got 3 items here, and that's all I really need to pretty much elementally wipe anybody's random battle off the map.
And I'm complaining about not being able to find items. Some of this game was so huge. Who knows if there was like corners that I had missed.
Oh, there were definitely corners I didn't go to because it was just too much.
Or corners where I didn't hit the right thing with the right tool, even though it shows you what tools you can hit things with. But it's like, okay, well, what do I need the most? Do I need the plant essences or do I need the plants? I can never keep track of all of this stuff. So that's part of the issue. And this game was so big, they gave you mounts. I barely used any of them, though, because you couldn't really gather on them.
Correct. There were very few times that I was going somewhere that I needed to get super far and didn't feel the need to just walk and get stuff. I think the running speed's pretty decent, and the trade-off being I can still grab stuff along the way was worthy of not really mounting up all that much.
I mean, if I was really in a hurry, I mounted up, and the underwater areas where you could use the water mount, I mounted up a little bit more just because,
wasn't that it? Each new area had a mount. You had a water mount in the first one.
Yeah. And if you're not paying attention to side quests, you could very easily miss them.
Correct.
Because a lot of them were tied to those areas. I guess what did they call those things? The world quests?
That's right. So you had different types of quests. The world quests were things that could affect the entire world. Like there was a whole line in your home city where if you did these world quests with the mayor of your original city, like apartments were built. Like, wasn't he trying to like modernize? It wasn't gentrify, but he was basically trying to bring more people to their little island because he wanted to make it an industrial powerhouse or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember if this is because the trading was all screwed up because of the mysterious islands or whatever, where he just wanted to like build all these areas. But if you kept going along with those quests, like it would actually change the appearance of the city. Like a city block would pop up or apartment buildings would pop up instead of little houses.
And I tried to do those because I didn't, like with the mounts thing, I didn't want to miss stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the random quests where green mark would just pop up randomly. And you either had to give items to things or go out and kill a monster. And once I had maxed out the talent tree, those were pretty much done.
Yep. There was not a whole lot of reason to keep doing them because they never stop popping up.
Yeah, no, never. And I didn't realize that until I started like these things are just not going away. Oh, it's because they are.
I was like, let me just keep doing these. Let me keep doing this. Let me keep doing this. Yep. No, that didn't help.
So it's kind of good to know going in, especially if you're the type of person like I am, where you won't move on until you finish all the quests. It does a Skyrim thing where you can't really finish all the quests ever.
Correct.
But
I mean, I'm trying to even think what the end result of all this was.
I couldn't tell you for the life of me what the end goal of the story was.
I just finished it in December, and it was about you went to some like ethereal place where alchemists had looked down upon everybody and had control of the area, and I don't know. It kind of got to the like fighting gods level. Yeah. Whereas the first couple games were very clearly, oh, hey, these, what was the name? They had those monsters. I can actually like kind of picture the word. I can't think of the pronunciation of it. Yeah, they had a
weird name like, oh gosh.
Was it like Facilia or something? Like I remember like a Y and a double L and whatever it was. They were alien bug monsters that were coming from the netherworlds in the first game, and you fought the big queen one at the end of the first, and that was the end. There was another queen at the end of the second, and that sealed the rift to go to the world. Well, in this one, you flat out open a rift, or there was a portal that you could go back and forth as many times you wanted. And there was even another playable character in the third game that you could get, Kala. She seemed like a young girl. She was definitely not the big busty people like Lila and Sela from the other games, but she had that pale skin, and she acted like a very young girl. And in her world, she was the ruler. She was the village chief. And then like she liked spending time in your world and going back and doing things in your world. She's like, oh my God, I can just do whatever I want here. And she was so interested by it.
Yeah.
But again, in all these zones, you're making a new atelier, and you can use it at your atelier to, you could decorate it. I know there was decorations and ateliers in this one. I never even played with that in either of these games.
Never did.
No, Yumiya took that and then made it more of a building thing.
Which I'm addicted to, by the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess from humble beginnings here in Ryza with, hey, you can stick a little Puni plush up on the shelf over there, but you couldn't decide if there was a shelf there. It was just already there. But you were collecting things throughout it. Nope, this game, I guess, baby steps there. But
Yeah.
it was eventually, like, I don't know, there was something that was creating these spirit veins. And like I said, it was the Atelier version of fighting the gods in this area.
Mhm.
You go back to the name, what is it? Atelier, Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key. There was also, oh gosh, we didn't even talk about the key. That's key functions in the game.
I forgot about the key functions.
Like you get some weird key at the beginning, and there's all these keys, and oh my gosh, they can even unlock stuff in battle because you get key rings and you're finding keys and you can use them in battle to unlock certain things. And
Yeah, I couldn't tell you for the life of me what those things in battle were, other than like letting you use your skills continuously without having to wait for a cooldown.
yeah, I mean, again, it was something that it was there, and every now and then I'd use it, and I just felt like I had so many keys that I never ran out, or like I could have kept using it more. But at the same time, I was making awesome items and weapons, and I didn't need it. Maybe if I was playing on like a harder mode, that would be something I'd have to engage with a little bit more. But they were also in the environment too. There were areas that were blocked off. And I remember in the first Mysterious Islands, like there was like this blue force field that I could not get through.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait a minute, if I go between these rocks, there's a blue force field there. I can't get through there. And then later I found green ones and red ones and everything. And yeah, you'd get keys throughout the game. And if it was the right color key, it let you into this area, which, just you might have find a rare enemy plus a couple of treasure chests. I mean, it wasn't, again, not something that was breaking the game. You weren't finding super ores back there. So if you went into them and used your keys for that, cool. If you didn't, you're probably doing okay.
I did find it minorly frustrating that I had to go to Reddit to figure out, okay, what are these environment keys that they're talking about?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I didn't find any until long after I saw the force field.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you just generate them and it'd be like old lightning key or something like that. And it's like, I can see that they have traits, just like other alchemy traits, but I have no idea what they're supposed to do.
And you could use them in alchemy too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they make the branch of the item? Like you're putting in items in the whole item grid, because all of these, when you're making the items, they branch. But I think there was certain points, like pivot points, where you could then put a different alchemy key in and the branch would look different then. Yeah. And it would open up different kind of stuff. Maybe, open a whole ice thing to your fire sword or whatever like that. It changed elemental stuff, or maybe added whole sleep damage kind of stuff, or poison levels to something that normally wouldn't have had that. And again, I didn't really play with that because I was just getting the numbers up.
No, yeah, because there was also like something where you could change the elements of, or like you could swap the elements of other items and stuff like that. And a lot of that stuff I never play with because to me that's metagame stuff, and I don't find it that fun. I think
when you beat the game and you can unlock the super hardcore method,
yeah,
that's what that's there for.
Yeah, that's for like the Disgaea level of people that try to alter every stat on their Disgaea characters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For lack of a 100%. Better comparison. So I had a lot of fun in this game, but I gotta be honest, by the end of it, I was ready for it to be done. Because, like I said, I felt like I got too powerful too quick, and there wasn't a lot to look forward to after that.
I can see that. It was the second area that, I don't know if did me in or whatever. I tried to do so many quests and everything from that big city to all the outlying areas, because my God, there was like 2 other towns at least. I remember one like very rural town that was spread out with a big crevice down the middle of it. You had just a couple bridges to go back and forth over. And then there was that whole, talk about verticality, that mine area. Holy cow. Oh my God. I was getting so lost down there doing quests. And yeah, like you said with the map, you don't know where you are. It just showed a dot. And I'm like, but wait a minute, I'm in a tunnel now. I know there's a mountain above me and I could be jumping across the tops of these mountains, but I am so lost.
Or where you see that two spots are clearly supposed to connect, but you haven't figured out how to get through that connection point yet. because you haven't
Correct.
unlocked the story bit.
That's right. Yeah, there's definitely some parts that still are, like I said, it's kind of open world, but it's four open worlds that you eventually go between, and just like it was fun. It was fun, but yeah, after a while, you're like, oh my god, this is just too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's
like,
so much game.
It's like, you know what? I'm either going to be playing this for the rest of eternity, or I got to start wrapping things up because, the new Atelier game is coming out, and I'm going to want to play that.
Yeah.
And at first, I thought I was going to be too Atelier out for Yumiya, but then you were singing its praises, and it's like, I've got nothing else to play right now. I'm going to go ahead and get it. And I've had to bite my tongue into not talking about or comparing 3 to Yumiya the whole time, because it definitely feels like 3 was kind of a test kitchen for some stuff they were gonna do in Yumiya.
Definitely. Yeah, Yumiya does feel. I've since I played all 3 Ryzas, this was definitely Yumiya light. And like I said, it completely different than the second game, where the second game you really had 5 distinct dungeons that you were going into, or zones. They weren't all dungeons. And yeah, you were collecting scraps and making the Mad Libs paragraphs appear and seeing those numbers go up and everything. This had none of that. This was just wide open, major zones with a billion quests all over the place. Yeah, you had your main quests, and you had your world quests, and then you had a million random quests if you wanted to interact with those. But yeah, completely different. Completely and I think that's why I preferred 2. Like I said, 2 was a 5 out of 5 game for me. Had I read a review, I'd have given it a 5 out of 5. I can see where Sam didn't like it as much, and I get it. I get all her complaints, but it was the checklist. I'm sorry. I'm a sucker for a checklist, and they had fun ways of filling out their checklists. 3 was not as checklisty. It was just like, holy crap, there's so much to do. And if I want to keep doing stuff, I can forever. Or, hey, you know what? I've spent 10 hours in the city. It's time to move on. If there's 2 zones, there's got to be a third. And then, wait a minute, I haven't gone into the the second world yet? Like, where's the underworld? I'm sure that's going to play a part. Oh, that's a whole 4th zone.
Meanwhile, I'm like, I really should stop doing alchemy and actually go do the story, because otherwise I'm never going to get new things for the alchemy. Yeah,
it's a definite vicious loop. Like, I want to do alchemy, but if I do alchemy, then I won't have time to fight it. If alchemy eventually ends, like, I can't really make anything better or stuff now. But I want to do more alchemy, but I can't. And I got to go find more stuff, and I got to find more stuff to do the alchemy
got to continue
to unlock that next level. Yep, and the story, and unlock the next level hammer and the next level chisel and all that stuff.
Yep.
But it was a fun gameplay loop. All these games were with that.
I agree. I think it was, of the 2 I played, I thought it was a pretty good trilogy. -1 for me. I am actually sure I would have liked 2 as well if I would have gotten around to it. Like I said, I only skipped it because of time.
Yep.
And it's fortunate that I did, because otherwise you'd be talking about 3 alone right now. Because Sam had to go to bed.
Oh, we did not say that. Yes. Thank you, Sam, for hanging out with us. Sorry she got to talk the one she did not like as much.
Yeah.
As this one, but
it is what it is. I would definitely. I think that the Ryza trilogy is a good starting point for the series, to be honest, just because they're so well polished.
And let me tell you, the way that it takes you from that first one to this one, and then jumps to Yumiya. Now that we've placed Yumiya, this is a great starting point if you want to then follow. Gameplay wise, Yumiya could be Ryza 4.
Mm-hmm.
It follows right through. There's a through line there. Obviously, new protagonists, new areas, new everything, but Yumiya is wide open. It took Ryza 3, and it's like, hey, let's not even make 4 worlds. Let's just make 4 interconnected zones in one world, and boom.
Yeah, I can't get into it too much because, obviously we're going to talk Yumiya in 2 years. But the one complaint I have about Yumiya is that it feels like the alchemy has kind of taken a step back. But I've also been taking a page out of your book, Matt, and doing the auto alchemy the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I did not spend 2 hours at a pop in Yumiya doing alchemy like I did in Ryza 2 and 3.
Nope.
And I don't think I missed that. Maybe because I played these so close together. We'll talk about that when I played these. But I mean, I've played all these from Ryza 1, 2, 3, and Yumiya in the past 15 months, 14 months. Mm-hmm. So, like 220 hours of Atelier, and I put 20 hours into Shally, and I 30 hours into Esha and Lagi right before that. So, I mean, in the past year and a half, I've got like 300 hours of Atelier. So maybe that's why it didn't bug me so much in Yumiya. Like, okay, let me do more of the exploring, and the alchemy, we can make it take care of itself.
Yeah, have you hit Atelier burnout at all?
Not yet. I got a review game that and Lunar came out, and I'm like, oh, Shally, I had a very unfortunate, I think I talked about an RPG cast a week ago. I had a very unfortunate, lost a lot of time. It locked up, or the Vita locked up, and I lost like 45 minutes, and it was all alchemy time. Not exploring, not anything else but alchemy. I was like, not that it's boring or not, but like, that happened the night, and then Lunar appeared that day, and I'm like, I think I'll just go with Lunar now.
Yeah,
I'm 80% through Shally, so yeah. I'm sure in a week or two I'll be like, all right, I need to do some alchemy. Let's do it. Let's hit that hour of alchemy and finish up Shally.
I will say I'm tempted to pick up a Switch 2 just so Yumiya will run better.
Yeah, there's that.
Normally the bad Switch performance doesn't bother me, but I've hit slideshows in some spots and bad crashes in others.
Yeah, I only had one or two crashes, but
I did not have that problem at all with Ryza 1 or 3.
No, that was not a problem.
So, but we'll see. Not to date the show, but like Switch 2 pre-orders are about ready to go live in about an hour. And I have a feeling they're going to break the internet.
Ooh, hopefully they don't break me.
We shall see. And Ryza 3 is also $60 and also goes on sale all the time. Mm-hmm. So I think I got this for like $3 or $4 more than Ryza 2. They've got a scale. They know after 1 year we can put it on sale for 50%. After 2 years we can put it on sale for 60. After 3 years we can put it on sale for 70. Yeah, I'd have to look at my Amazon history to see how much I paid, because I know that when I saw them get reprinted on Amazon, I jumped on them, and I didn't really care about the cost at that point because I wanted physical. Mm-hmm. So unless we have anything else we wanted to add about Ryza 2 or 3, then I think we're ready for the roundtable.
I think so.
Okie dokie, let's have a quick break, and we'll be right back. We're back with RPG Backtrack with the roundtable, our memories, our favorites, our precious moments. Wait, wrong thing. That being said, what was you guys' favorite and or funniest moments from the games?
Well, I'll start this one. And there's lots of little moments in here. These games have lots of tiny little, and they're usually right on the screen. I think that's why I like 2 a little bit better than 3. 2 had a lot of fast travel inside the main city, and it would have a dot right there like, hey, there's there's an interaction here. If you go there and talk to this person, it'll start a cutscene. Had a little hard time finding them and triggering them as much in 3, but honestly, in both those games, like some of the stuff is just batshit crazy what they're talking about and going on about and laughing about. Hard to pick any, but favorite part was Ryza giving up Fee at the end of Ryza 2. I know Sam is probably turning over in her bed right now and like, no, don't say that, man. Come on.
I mean, I don't. Any time you have to give up an animal in a game, it is hard, especially if you're an animal person.
Yeah, let me tell you, it was 100% contrived, and I mean, I liked Fee throughout the game. I mean, it was the MacGuffin that kept it going. Fee was dying. You had to go to another place and get more power, and then eventually it's like, oh shit, we're getting power. That's really not good for the world. So obviously you knew it was coming for the last 10 hours. Like, okay, Fee's gonna have to go back to the dark world at some point. And I don't think we even talked about it. Fee shows up in the third game.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yep, because I mean, you spend a lot of time in that dark world. You saw Fee. I mean, you played the third game, so Fee's there. But yeah, that it was heart-wrenching at the end of 2. It was a very, and as Sam talked about, there's a lot of growth in the characters in these games, and you saw Ryza grow at the end of 2 with that. Like she was a little bit more mature at the end, trying to give up Fee and save the world, and it was a personal loss for her, and I really liked that moment.
For me, it was the moment in 3 when Lent's dad finally moved away, and they kind of moved past. I mean, they didn't kiss and make up, but they had kind of like nodded and acknowledged that they were never going to get along, and this was probably the best. And then after the credits, Lent basically takes over his dad's old house. And it was kind of touching, given how much strife that them two poor people had, though at least the whole first game. I imagine it didn't come up very much in the second, since you weren't in the island town.
No, in the second he was very kind of distant for a while, and before he became a party member he was moody, and you'd find him in the tavern quite often, and he was becoming his own person, though. That was his character growth in the second game. Was, I'm away from home. He's not affecting me anymore. What am I going to do? What am I going to become?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was trying to deal with, like, he didn't want to like end up like his dad. So
yeah, he was trying to find his way in the world. Like, what am I going to do? I don't want to be dad. Yeah. But like, how am I going to support myself? I'm just a big guy with a big sword, and like, what does that mean?
Oh, it was good to see him get closure with that.
Didn't the dad get back in touch with the mom?
I think so.
In 3? Not that I don't think they reconciled as much, but at least they were in communication, or or he found out why mom left, or something like that, or.
I might not have gotten to that. That might have been in a friend quest, so I'm not sure. Even though I like literally just played, I'm really fuzzy on the story. Some of the Finder story bits in the third one, but I do remember seeing his dad leave the house, and that being a pivotal moment, and that just made me feel better that they had kind of acknowledged their demons. So. I'd be curious to know what Sam's opinion was on that scene, but I'll have to ask her on Discord later. Ryan, what about you?
I think I just really liked looking at, if you ever having a moment when you're like in that town hub area at night, and then it's raining, it really looks nice. Yeah,
the city has some nice areas, and like you said,
the middle, like when you're in that whole like square area. That's not like square. Yeah,
where she lives, right?
Yeah, where the Atelier is. Atelier. And what the fuck? I don't know what I'm saying. What? I don't know how you pronounce that word.
Atelier.
Atelier, yeah.
Although when you play the Vita games, it calls it the Atelier. It does not say Atelier. Like, just playing Shally recently, it does not say that word. I'm like, wait a minute.
That is a voice director's flub.
So I don't remember from Esha and Loggy what it said at all, but it definitely nobody says Atelier in that game. So
because when I have to spell it, I always have to say Atelier, but when I say it, I have to make sure that I say Atelier, having had to set it many times in RPG Cast reading news. What did you play this on, by the way? Were we all Switch?
Yes, I was on Switch.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if anybody did PS4 or 5 and if there was any more performance stuff going on there. But no, that's another thing I love about this series is that they are gorgeous games. I'm happy that we figured out how to do a good-looking anime aesthetic on these games that ages really well.
Listen, 100%. One of my favorite games to look at ever is Dragon Quest VIII, and we're talking, what's that? That's almost 20 years old at this point. Yeah. And that look is still pretty darn good. And yeah, I'm playing Atelier games that are on my Vita from 2015, and I can't complain about the graphics. They look pretty good. Do they have as much detail in the backgrounds? No, but that's what more processing in the Switch and other stuff can do.
If we could only go back to the GameCube era of the internet and tell people, like, look, you guys, you don't understand. Things are going to look like anime in the future because of this. It's going to be great for anyone that was around during the Zelda wars. So who are you guys' favorite characters? Or character, rather, from all three games?
I'm going to be boring and say Ryza. Honestly, we talked about it. Sam and I talked about it. What is it? Our new treasure hunter dude was kind of a dud in the second game. I did like Patty, but she was new in the game, so I just used her. It was just okay. Frederica was pretty cool in the third game. She almost had like ninja-like moves, kind of, but she was all right. I use Claudia sometimes. I never really used the male characters. I think I actually went back to Impel using him at the end of Ryza 3. Just he came in so powerful when he joined near the end. But like Ryza was the one. Like all three games, she was always there. Obviously, you're controlling her in the party. Like all the side people I think were almost equal to me, except for a Treasure Hunter Bob. And other than that, 100%. I really loved Ryza. I loved the whole arc in all the games for her.
I've got to admit, Boz had a really nice glow up. No, I didn't see him in 2, so I didn't have context for that. But
yeah, there was not much there.
Seeing him go from this and stuff, well, I guess they were friends at first, and then he turned into kind of a jerk. And then in the third game, he's like really supportive and on your side. I like a good character arc like that. And I ended up using him for most of the game just because, I don't know, there was just something about him that just made me smile. And this was a character that I wanted to punch in the first game.
No, in the second game, he's like out. I think that's part of his character arc is he's out learning to battle and stuff. You see that, like you stumble across him and his character quests in that game. He's like, I think he even like burns out at one point. You have to make stuff for him because he's in school there, like Tao is, and studying because he's got to be, he's going to inherit the mayorship of his town one day. But at the same time, he sees what Ryza and everybody's doing, and he wants to learn to fight and to protect and be like them. Because in the first game, wasn't that like pretty much the end? As he ran off to try to fight and couldn't do it, and you had to save him near the end. Yeah.
So yeah, he was my favorite. What about you, Brian?
I'll probably say Bo's whatever his name is. Yeah.
The mayor's son, which Kelly was just talking about.
Yeah.
So
right.
when you get to 3, you'll have nice character growth to look forward to. So our wild card question, what aspect of Ryza were you the biggest fan of? Combat, alchemy, story, character stuff? Because I'm
So
with you, Matt.
yeah, I mean, as opposed to Yumio, where I really love the exploration, and like we've both kind of taken the auto alchemy. No, in Ryza games, like I could just easily spend an hour or two on alchemy, making new stuff every time. I've got so many screenshots, and I like put it in with my own little Discord with some of my Dragon Quest friends. I'm like, look at this! I just went from attack level like 120 to 250. Like I doubled my attack power because I spent 2 hours making the best iron ingots and the best, this and the best that to then make her a new staff. Like anytime I'd unlock that new cloth or metal, I'd go crazy making my party new weapons and armors. And, like I said, I'd make the lower alchemy items to then make the upper alchemy items even better. And then in each game, eventually you unlock the remake an item so that because in the games you can only put 7 items together to make something, and that's on the skill tree. You always unlock the ability to now put in 8, now put in 9. Well, you could finish it and then unlock basically the unlimited area where you could just keep adding items until the item level reached your alchemy level. If you were alchemy level 99, you could make an item that was 99 powerful and just keep putting stuff into it. So I loved making the massive upgrades. I loved making the items that would end almost any encounter within 30 seconds. I totally sucked in by the alchemy in these games.
Now, were you like me in that once you made a really kick-ass ore or something, you would lock it so that you could use the gem duplication to duplicate it if you needed an extra one, or did you just make it up?
Oh no, I duplicated, and you know what? That was why I was very thankful. I think in the first game I bought the digital deluxe because the original game was so cheap. Like I think I got it for like even the digital deluxe I think was only $20. I made sure to spend like the $7 or $8 for both of these games since I bought them digitally. First I was like, hey Gus, take some of my money because I'm loving these games this year. But I bought the digital deluxe to like get 10,000 gems. That or whatever those things were that helped you duplicate. And I would go through all the time and I would sort my items back in my atelier. Like there was a way I could do it. You got to sort the items by what you had the most of. And then I would just highlight like 50 of my 70 rocks. And you'd unlock at one point the ability to turn them into gems so that you could have more gems to duplicate the better stuff. I remember one time going from like having 5,000 items to maybe like 3,000 in storage just because I was like, I need to duplicate so much.
I ended up doing the filter and filtering everything by for the elemental value, like 0s and 1s, since the zeros were kind of useless anyways because you could use them to fill up the elemental aspect of it. And you end up with so many zeros that that was a good way to clean out your inventory and get a bunch of gems. And then when stuff would get kind of low, I also figured out that you could turn lots of the keys into lots of gems.
Yes, I remember that in the third game. That was a big boost.
Especially since if you're doing any sort of exploration, you end up with so many keys and just keeping one of each color around in case if you needed to open something. But other than that, just sharding them for gems was a good use of them.
Yep, 100%.
And yeah, I think that this particular system is the best that alchemy has ever been in this series.
Oh, 100%. Like I know Esha and Lagi, I fell in love with that system, and then I got to the Ryza games and just, oh gosh, each one was, I thought 3 was just the tiniest step down, but honestly, just because it was visual. I think it made it look more 3D or something like visually but I mean, it was the same system as 2, so whoop-de-doo. I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It was awesome. 3 just was more of 2. So I was so happy for that. Ryan, what did you what's your best part of these games?
Alchemy, probably.
They really did nail it.
I mean, these games center around crafting, and when your crafting is top notch, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these games were the top selling Atelier games ever. They were the fastest selling. They were the top selling. Like this series, I don't know what the sales numbers were, but they were never hitting 1 million. These weren't million selling games. Long running series, but they sell their few hundred thousands, and they know what they do, and they're kind of that AA area of gaming. They know their market, they know what they can spend, they know how much they can do asset wise, and man, they knocked it out of the park though when they hit the Ryzas. I know a lot of people talk about the battle system not being turn based anymore. I was ambivalent about that until I started playing it more, and then I love it. Like, holy crap. I'm okay going back to the Chalet and like, okay, that's a different flavor. That's fine. But it's not as fast. It's not as fun. I am a turn-based person through and through, and I am 100% behind this.
Little nugget of wisdom I like to drop is that, Atelier games are the reason why most RPGs today have crafting systems in it, because the series and its PlayStation heyday was so popular that people tried to duplicate it in their games. And I still think that that's true, that, the system is so good in this game that I wish all crafting systems in all games was just as intuitive and as fun in this one. Which is why, even though it's not terrible, it's why I did feel like Yumiya's alchemy is a little bit of a step back, but the exploration is making up for it.
I'm sure there are some people out there that like Yumiya's system. It just, it didn't hit the right. I don't know. I didn't understand it as much initially. I could see the benefits of doing certain things in certain ways. And then I was like, you know what? I can do 90% as well. I don't have to learn this, and I can still use the auto alchemy to do what I needed to do. And maybe I cheated myself, but I got 50, 60 hours out of Yumiya just like I did Ryza, and I enjoyed my time with it, so it's fine.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting backtrack in 2 years. Now, last question: do we have any associative memories with this game, or either of the two games? Heck,
well, I'll let you two go first.
I played it over the course of 2 months. The last 2 months, Ryza 2.
Okay. Anything big going on during those 2 months for you two?
Not really. I just played it for just under 60 hours. That's really it. It's nothing big.
My main associative memory is the fact that I play my Switch in bed a lot before bedtime, and my cat was recovering from a really bad cold, and when she's not feeling well, she's really clingy, and made this habit of starting to want to lay on my chest in bed at night because of it. So having to maneuver my Switch and her is kind of an interesting associative memory, because I'm sitting there trying to alchemize, and she's on my chest, and I'm laying the Switch on her back, and she's not very happy about that. But she's doing a lot better now. The antibiotics definitely helped, and hopefully she won't have to have the ear surgery in the future to clear her ears.
Oh, good. I think my most fun associative memory with this, and I'm looking at my little memory website that I try to keep track of when I played it on. I can tell you exactly when I started this. I started this game the second game, Ryza 2, was October 8th. Didn't think I'd get around to that until this year, because I put so much time into Ryza 1 last year. But then I played kind of a couple crummy games. I played Healer's Quest and Necro Story back to back. And they were funny little games, but they were, they're like single A indie goofy games. And I just was like, I need to get back into something amazing. I had just wrapped up a lot of time in Dragon Quest X offline. I'd put almost 100 hours into it, and then played a couple of goofy games. I'm like, I want to sink my teeth into something good. And then I was like, man, Ryza was really fun 6 months ago. So October 8th, started up Ryza 2, and I got almost to the end. I was so close. I put it about 3.5 weeks. And I get the review code for Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D. And I mean, of course, I got to do Dragon Quest. I was like, oh, I'm so close. What the heck? And I want to get it out. I want to get the review out the day the embargo lifts. So, of course, I immediately rushed through Dragon Quest 3. I think I beat it in 10 days. There's another podcaster out there. Austin has a podcast called Dragon Quest FM, where they talk Dragon Quest all the time. And I know he works for another review site, and I knew he would have this game. So I'm texting him. He's another Floridian. And I was like, dude, you got this. I know you're playing it for review. He's like, oh, you are too? That's great. We can talk to each other. So we texted each other back and forth for about 9 or 10 days, every little secret. It was like being back in the 90s in middle school or something like that. And coming into school every day, all excited. But in the back of my head, I'm like, gosh, we're so close to Ryza. Sure enough, I can look. I beat Dragon Quest 3 HE2D on November 9th, and November 10th I beat Ryza 2. So I must have been like final dungeon level. And once I got the review out, once I finished up 2 and everything, Ryza 3 I was started by November 18th and went straight through almost Christmas with that one. So it was back to back. The Dragon Quest 3 felt like an interlude. It was like the halftime show of 50 hours of Ryza 2, 50 hours of Ryza 3, and like 37 hours of a halftime show of Dragon Quest 3. But my God, that flew by in 10 days, so that was tough to compare. But that was a hell of a 2 months of gaming right there.
Yeah, sounded like fun though.
Oh gosh, yeah. October, November, December last year. I guess it was 3 months. October, November, December, like 3 major games. So good fun.
And did you have any memories, Ryan?
No, I think I said something already.
Oh,
he did. Okay. He just played it the last couple of months.
Okay.
Had a good time with it. And you just played it, right?
Yeah. I want to say I finished it around the end of March.
Oh.
I'd have to look at my Blue Sky to see exactly when. Because then I jumped right into one of the games that I'm going to talk about next month in 2 weeks for our monster catching May.
Woohoo!
Let me see real quick before I commit to
the alliteration rolls on.
Yes. Okay, because we've got the Pokemon clones first. So Koromon.
Send in the clones.
Yep, that's what we'll call it. Temtem. I played Koromon like literally the night after I beat Ryza or booted up Koromon. We're gonna talk about a lot of different monster.
Look at that. Cassette Beasts. I played that last year. Sierra Lim. I played that last year.
And I'm gonna end up calling it. Have to stop myself from calling it Monster Hunter May. Because that's a completely different series, even though technically you're hunting monsters.
Yep.
But there are some good Poke clones out there and some crappy ones. But we will get into that in a pair of weeks. And then our second week in monster collecting May is going to be Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which, oh boy, that's going to be an interesting cast because that was a divisive game.
I don't think this is going to be a device. Well, I don't know what Cassandra is going to say, but let me tell you. I'll tell you, Wheels and Dave and me are going to be. That was fucking awesome.
Because I know Wheels gets annoyed at performance issues and those.
Oh no, not at this one. He did not.
Okay, he looked past the performance.
Correct.
I'm sincerely hoping that they do like a switch to Ultra Scarlet and Ultra Violet for these so that they'll be better.
Super Scarlet and Fairy Violet.
Yeah.
Get the alliteration.
Even though, I put 100 hours into both of those games just like every other Pokemon I ever play. Because Pokemon and me is like crack and I don't know.
I was going to say, where are you going with that one? Okay, there you go. Yes, a crack and a crackhead. Those two go together.
Yep. Oh, I'm so glad I made you laugh.
Oh man, that was good. That was.
I guess I was like, I better watch my words here. Just a crackhead.
Crack doesn't pair good with tiramisu, or
Yeah, well, I compare it to like that because like literally when I'm in the middle of a Pokemon game, that's all I think about when I'm not Pokemoning.
Yeah.
Like
The
that meme with
Pokeballs are
Dave.
spinning in your head.
Yeah, that meme with Dave Chappelle. Y'all got any Pokemons? But we'll talk about that in a pair of weeks. It's going to be a fun time. Oh, and we also stuck in Fuga 2 in between two shows at the end there, since Fuga 3 is going to be out at around that time too, and we wanted to try to get Fuga 2 in show.
Yeah.
Mainly so that our brains wouldn't be poisoned with 3 because it's really hard to, as you've heard, really hard not to talk about a new game when you're talking about the old game. So,
What? We didn't mention Yumiya but like 25, 30 times.
yeah. Hey, it's a lot better than I've been in the past where it's like all I wanted to talk about was the new game because it was fresh in my mind. But I digress.
What's funny is I think one of the first episodes that I ever listened to of RPG Backtrack was about Radiant Historia. And I swear, Phil and whoever was on that time, it was recorded probably a month after Perfect Chronology came out.
Mm-hmm.
So they were all like, oh, well, we don't want to talk about Perfect Chronology, but gosh darn it, half of us have just played that too. So, it needed to be recorded like a month before, just like you're doing with Fuga 2. Get it right before it hits the 3.
And that one was particularly hard because Perfect Chronology fixed so many of the problems with the original game. And that's literally one of my favorite DS games of all time, and now 3DS games. So it's hard, man. But we need to be Backtrack for a reason and keep the 2-year rule. But like I said, it's more of a suggestion than a rule. I mean, we did Sea of Stars at 18 months. So
we're just trying not to do Yumiya at 1.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus that way. Plus with the 2-year rule, it lets us get away with spoilers more because I don't like spoiling new games.
Yeah. And we are all about spoiling.
Yep.
We talk about it all.
Yep. All the dirt. I need to thank Sam after the fact since she's in bed, but thank you, Sam. And of course, thank you, Ryan, for coming to hang out with us tonight.
Yep.
And thank you, Matt, who I could not do this podcast without.
No problem.
And thank you, listener. You are the reason why we do this podcast, to entertain you. Thank you for listening. Tune in 2 weeks for us to talk about our Pokemon clones, and have a good rest of your week, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.